I love the beginning of a new NASCAR season because you get a lot of wacky stats like Denny Hamlin, 30th in points. Tyler Reddick and Martin Truex Jr. are the only drivers who've won stages so far. Things like that. So today, I picked out a few of the craziest early season statistics, and we're gonna decide whether or not we should overreact to them. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you've had a wonderful week. The trucks are racing tonight, the beginning of a triple header weekend out at Las Vegas. We're gonna overreact to some stuff here in just a moment, but first, I wanna give another shout out to my friends at SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. They were down at Daytona for the 500. I was there as well. They did a great live show. Dave Moody had on guests like Richard Petty, Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Rusty Wallace, and more. I was hanging out with them early in the week. It was a great crowd down at Daytona, a great show as well. Can't wait for SiriusXM to do it again. They do have a special offer for fans of Out of the Groove. If you click the link down in the description below and to SiriusXM.com/groovy offer, you can get your first 3 months of SiriusXM Radio for free. Great free trial opportunity for fans of this show, so be sure to take advantage of that. And thanks again to SiriusXM for partnering with Out of the Groove and for putting on such a fun show down at Daytona a couple weeks ago. You know what the internet is best at? Overreacting to things. So that's what we're gonna do here today. Like I said, I'm gonna go through a few very wild early NASCAR season stats, and I'm gonna tell you whether or not we should overreact. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This segment is brought to you by Fram. Let's get started. Brad Keselowski has been at least partially responsible for 4 major wrecks through the first 2 points races. Brad Keselowski, new guy over at Roush Fenway. Now it's RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski. That's right, he's not just a driver, he's a co-owner. A lot of extra pressure coming into this season, and Brad Keselowski is racing like a guy with a chip on his shoulder. Going back to Daytona, of course, got in trouble for pushing some guys a little too hard, spun Harrison Burton out when the young rookie had shown for a few laps he was barely hanging on. Then later in the race, accidentally pushed Ricky Stenhouse a bit too hard and sent Stenhouse spinning. Then fast forward to Fontana this last weekend. Pushing hard on a restart, cred to him, he was up in the top 5, but got loose, spun out off of turn 4. Luckily it wasn't a bigger incident, but then later, racing with Bubba Wallace, it looked like Wallace came up, but also that Keselowski came down a bit. Keselowski spun and collected a few other drivers off of turn 2. So maybe not entirely to blame for all those incidents, but the point still stands. Brad Keselowski, a champion, a veteran, has been involved in 4 major incidents through the first 2 weeks. Should we overreact? I'm not going to. Now, like I said, I think it's clear Brad Keselowski is racing with a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's heard all the chatter. He left Team Penske, a championship organization, to go to Roush, like C+ team the last few years? Brad Keselowski is on a mission to prove everyone wrong, to tell us all that no, Roush is back, RFK is here to stay, they're going to be a powerhouse in the near future. He's racing with a chip on his shoulder, and it just looks like he's pressing a little too hard. He did win his dual race, and actually so did his teammate Chris Buescher, so RFK has already had the high moment this year, but Keselowski's also instigated a few low moments already. I'm not gonna overreact though, because Brad Keselowski is a veteran driver. Now, he's showing glimpses of early 2010s, mid 2010s Brad Keselowski when he was kind of a shoot first, ask questions later kind of driver, but I think he'll rein that back in as the season goes along, as he gets a bit more comfortable with the actual speed he has in that car. I don't think they're gonna win a championship, but that is a playoff capable car. I think we've seen enough in these first couple weeks to suggest, at least early on this season, they could collect some serious points. He can run up in the top 10 with decent regularity. So I think as the season goes on, Keselowski will rein it in. Those early season, first day on the job jitters will start to go away, and he's not gonna cause 2 incidents a race anymore. Next, let's talk about the new driver of the 2-car, Austin Cindric. Rookie Austin Cindric is the first rookie in NASCAR history to lead the points for more than 1 week. Won the Daytona 500, took the points lead over as a result, and held the points lead after Fontana. He finished in the top 15 there. Qualified on the pole, remember that? So Austin Cindric's off to a pretty strong start, about as great of a start as you can hope to have as a rookie in the top level of stock car racing. This stat is pretty crazy. I am gonna overreact to this. I didn't realize, but Jimmy Johnson in 2002 was the first rookie ever to just lead the points for 1 week. Austin Cindric here 20 years later is the first rookie to lead for 2. That's remarkable. Look, is Austin Cindric gonna hold the points lead all year long and win the championship? No, but he's gonna make the playoffs, it seems. I think he has a great shot of sneaking into the round of 12. Maybe if the stars align, the round of 8. Cindric has impressed me to start this year. He was fast at the super speedway, which we expect. Penske, Ford, usually fast there. but he was also fast at Fontana, sat on the pole, ran in the top 10 for a large portion of the race. That's impressive for a rookie. Austin Cindric's getting into the Cup Series at the exact right time. This new car has kind of put everyone back to square one in many ways. We've seen some veteran drivers struggle these first couple weeks that we wouldn't typically see running that far back in the pack. Meanwhile, younger drivers like Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric running up in the top 5, top 10 much more consistently, even if we go back to the clash in LA a few weeks ago. I'm a believer in Austin Cindric. You know, 4 years ago, I and many others thought Austin Cindric was kind of a joke. Austin Spindric. But he's developed a ton. He's not just a road course guy anymore. He can win on the ovals. I'd argue he's matured as a race car driver. He's nearly a 2-time Xfinity champion. He did win it in 2020, almost won it in 2021. He's here to stay. He's not just Tim Cindric's boy. He has actual talent. I think he's going to have a remarkable rookie season this year. Probably, I'd say the best rookie season since maybe Chase Elliott in 2016. I know Chase didn't win a race that year, but he did make the playoffs. He made it to the round of 12, which these days for a rookie to accomplish that is pretty remarkable. I know Cole Custer won a race in 2020, but outside of that win, he was a non-factor all year, so I'm not really going to count that. I'll count the win, but I'm not going to say he had a great overall season. Cindric's already got a win in the bag. I think he's on his way to putting forward a remarkable rookie campaign, so I am going to overreact to that stat. I'm excited. From a driver who's at an early season high to some drivers at an early season low. I know we're only 2 races into this season, but William Byron, Harrison Burton, Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell are all outside the top 30 in points. In fact, they're all currently behind Jacques Villeneuve in the standings. 71, 72, 73 points out of the lead, about 41, 42, 43 points behind 16th place. It's early, but I am gonna slightly overreact to this. You know, if this was Denny Hamlin, who is 30th in points right now, or Joey Logano, or Martin Truex Jr., I probably wouldn't overreact. It's early, those guys have a track record, they're gonna win some races this year, they're gonna make the playoffs, no problem, but you look at these 4 drivers, a couple of which drive for powerhouse teams, none of these 4 were really locks to make the playoffs. Like William Byron, yeah, I think he expects to make the playoffs. He won a race last year, made it to the round of 12 last year. He's in a Hendrick car. He expects to make the playoffs, but it's not a guarantee. You know, he's not Kyle Larson. Christopher Bell, Joe Gibbs Racing driver, also won a race last year, made the playoffs, but, you know, that 20 car missed the playoffs in 2020, so it's not like he's a lock either. Ross Chastain's never made the playoffs, and he's with a new team this year, technically, Trackhouse Racing, and then you got Harrison Burton, who the 21 car missed the playoffs barely last year with Matt DiBenedetto. He's a rookie. I don't think anyone really expects him to make the playoffs this year, but I'm sure that's a goal he set for himself, and right now he's in an early hole. Sure, you can make up all those points over the next 24 races, but none of those 4 drivers can afford any mid-season slumps. That's what this tells me, unless they win a race, which Bell has one career win, Chastain, Burton have not won a race yet. I'm not going to call any of them a lock to win a race this season. So this early points hole is mildly concerning. I'm not going to overreact, but I'm going to just react. I'm just gonna slightly. I know before the season started, I had 3 of those guys making the playoffs, so I'm feeling a little tense these first couple weeks. Next point, Kyle Larson may need a new spotter. He has been involved in 3 major incidents so far this year, all of which you could argue were caused by poor communication between driver and spotter. Now remember this past weekend at Fontana, Kyle Larson's spotter Tyler Mon tweeted and took the blame for the incident with Chase Elliott where Larson moved up late and blocked his teammate into the wall, ended Elliott's race. He said he didn't call it in time and it wasn't Larson's fault. Okay, understandable, but that's not the first time this season that the two seem to not quite be on the same page. Let's go all the way back to the LA Clash. Kyle Larson gets bumped out of the groove by Justin Haley and immediately retaliates, sending him hard into the inside wall. An unbecoming and I'd say very uncalled for move, especially for the defending series champion. And in a race where guys were driving through each other all race long, like that was a complete overreaction. And I don't even think he hit the right guy. If you look back at the replay, William Byron is driving through Justin Haley, basically shoving Haley into Kyle Larson. I know things happen very quick and Tyler Mont only had a very narrow window of time to relay information to his driver, but if he had told Larson that, hey, Haley got run over from behind, maybe Larson doesn't sideswipe Haley down the front stretch in retaliation. I'll cut the spotter some slack there because again, things happened really fast. That was a very narrow window of time to deliver that information. Larson was seeing red. He may not have even listened to his spotter if he did say something. So I'll cut the spotter some slack there. But then the next week at Daytona, Larson coming up fast behind Harvick, who granted was a little squirrely right there, but they're coming up fast on the car in front of them. And typically at a super speedway, the spotter tries to tell their driver how much of a gap out front of the car in front of them there is. Like, oh, there's room in front of him, it's tight in front of him. That typically tells the driver how much they should be willing to push. Not sure what information Larson was getting right there, but Larson pushed Harvick and pushed Harvick and pushed Harvick, and it set off a big crash. Again, maybe not going to put that all on the spotter, but it's something to note. Obviously, the spotter was at fault at the Fontana incident. That's pretty obvious. You can argue the other two, but one thing is clear. Through the first 3 races, the 5 car's been a bit of a missile. Kyle Larson's used to racing without a spotter, so I expect him to handle some of these incidents at least a little bit better, but I'm not going to overreact because the Larson-Tyler Mon pairing did just win 10 races and a championship last year. It is worth noting, though, that Tyler Mon was not Kyle Larson's first choice when he got to Hendrick. The guy Larson initially chose to be his spotter for 2021 got fired by Hendrick before the season started for off-track concerns. So I don't know how deep Larson and Tyler Mon's relationship really is. Even if Larson or Hendrick were to fire Tyler Mon, I'm not sure if there's a ton of more qualified candidates ready to fill that gap. I have no idea, so I'm not going to overreact to this, but it is something worth noting. The Larson-Mon communication does not seem to be in great form early on this season. And lastly, the final thing I'd like to note, Tyler Reddick, who's been so fast this season, has not yet made it through a race without major incident. I'm not going to overreact to this because, while yes, Reddick has broken a transaxle, he spun out, got loose, wrecked at Daytona, and then blew a tire and got wrecked at Fontana. 2 of those 3 incidents occurred while he was leading the race, while he was whooping the field. Kyle Larson, go back to him for a second, said a few weeks ago he expects Tyler Reddick to have a breakout season, and already we've caught a glimpse of what dominant Tyler Reddick looks like. At some point this year, the parts will stop breaking, things will stop falling off the car, and he's going to finish one of these things. He's going to get a win this year. I think there's a great chance he wins multiple races this season based on the early season speed. So that's why I'm not going to overreact. He did sweep the first 2 stages at Fontana this past weekend, which is why, despite not getting through a race without incident yet this year, he's still 21st in points. It's not great, not good or anything, but only 2 races in, there's plenty of time to get back in that top 16 at the bare minimum and make the playoffs that way. But I think he's going to win a race at this rate. Just got to finish some of these races. I'm not overreacting to that one, but let me know down in the comments below. We covered 5 notable stats. Which ones are you overreacting to? Which ones are you kind of reacting to? And which ones are you saying, nah, not a big deal at all? Let me know down in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different style video. I thought we'd have some fun this week, but that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We talk NASCAR nearly every single day here on Out of the Groove, and we've got a pretty exciting announcement coming next week. Can't wait for you guys to see that. As always, a big thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters as well. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoy all the action out at Las Vegas this weekend. I won't be there, but I will be at Phoenix next week. That's the next race I'll be in attendance. So I will catch one of the West Coast swing races this year. I look forward to seeing you guys out there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again real soon.